I don't know. I don't know what we used to call this, but I changed the name to Two Guys on a Shulchan Aruch.
I
The
like it.
Two Guys on a Shulchan Aruch podcast. Anyway, so we are in Siv base. So just to recap quickly the actual mechaber. So the Shulchan Aruch says that a woman who stretches out her hand and accepts kedushin in front of her husband, or in front of the guy who's presumed who we assumed was her husband, her first husband. Right. So she accepts kedushin in front of him. It says that she is married to the second guy. Why? Because it's the same as a woman who we have another case that a woman who says in front of her husband, he divorced me. She is trusted. And why? Because there's a chazaka, which is like a legal presumption, or like it's a halachic legal establishment of a status quo, so to speak.
So
Um,
yeah, presumption. I like the word. I was gonna say precedent, but I think
I I
presumption is
I
better for
like
chazaka.
I like and don't like presumption, because presumption just means, oh, we can, I'm presuming something. It's not really as
Well,
strong, where a chazaka
it's
actually,
assuming. Presumption is
right.
like I'm assuming it. We're not assuming
But
it. There's
right.
actually something
But a
to
chazaka
predicate this
actually
on.
establishes that that is the legal status quo, meaning that you would now have to bring proof actually against this chazaka. So it's
Yeah, it's actually
yeah,
based on something.
yeah. So it's a very strong thing, a chazaka, as opposed to a presumption. Seems is generally comes across as a weaker thing. But yeah, but it's a very strong legal presumption. To the point where, like, we presume that every person is from that every Jew, at least back then, is from a clean background, and therefore can marry into Kohanim, etc., etc. So it's a very strong sort of presumption. Um, that's why probably the best way is just to call it a chazaka. But anyways, there's a chazaka that a woman will not isha a woman will not have such chutzpah to say such a thing in front of her husband. That's not true. And therefore, we assume it's true that he divorced her. Um, Now the Rama brings an argument on, will first bring a different opinion, which we can assume he brings it first, maybe because that's how he holds. That's usually how it is anyway. Um, and then he brings back the opinion of the Mechaber. There are some that say, however, that what the Rama is talking about here is specifically by when she says Gerash Tani, he divorced me. But that even the Rama holds, or even this Yashemrim, even this opinion would hold in the case that she accepted Kedushin in front of him, would still be, it's a valid Kedushin. Right? It's 100%. Whereas in the case of Gerashtani, where she merely says he divorced me, that's has less power than her actually taking the action of accepting another person's marrying her in front of him. So anyway, so Ramah says that some say that when we say that Kedushin is Taifsin, that the Kedushin takes hold, it's specifically to only the Chumrah, only to the stringent. It doesn't mean she's married to the other guy, that she can now be married to him, stay married to him, but rather she's trusted to the point where she now needs a divorce from him, because maybe she's telling the truth, so now she needs a divorce from him. But she's not trusted to get married to somebody, which, by the way, this is probably part of why the opinion that says in the Beis Shmuel, right? I believe it's the Beis Shmuel that says this, that it's only talking about when she says he divorced me. Why? Because if you look at the wording, it says, but she's not trusted to marry another, which can be read as like a third person, or marry another. But in the case of she accepted Kedushin, what do you mean? You just married another person.
She's not believed to marry
Right.
someone else.
Right.
Anyone else.
Right. And I guess according to there are those that hold no, that actually there are most talking about in both cases it's the same. In both cases, they're only trusted, according to this opinion, they're only trusted to in terms of to require a divorce now from this guy. Um, Oily till ksubasa, and she also cannot. She's also not trusted to. She cannot collect the. She doesn't pass go and collect $200. um, uh, she does not collect the ksuba because she's trusted only for that. Not, and some say, which is actually the mechaber, according to I think the Rambam, that no, we trust her 100%, and to the point where she even collects on her ksuba. And I believe on that point, some also say that's only talking about when she accepted kedushin, but not when she just said gerishtani. And in either case, we spoke about this idea that even though we say that we said that she needs a get, right? But at the same time, she now has a problem because if we're only accepting that she's divorced, that she needs a divorce from the second guy. At the same time, she still needs a divorce from the first guy too, because we're not trusting her to be divorced from the first guy. We're only trusting her that now she also needs a divorce from the second guy, right? So now she needs to be divorced from the first. Needs a divorce from the first guy, and you can't even force him. Why? Because how does this work? There's a way to turn these thumbs. Maybe we'll leave the thumbs. It's fun. But there's another thing also. Every time I do, we'll see now it doesn't work. It only works when I don't want it. But like the two sometimes brings balloons up. I don't know why. I'd be like, there's two. What do you call it? One and two, and then it'd be like balloons would go up. I don't know. Maybe like happy my second birthday something. I don't know. Anyway, so on the one hand, she would then need a get from the first guy, right? At the same time, you can't force him. You can't force him to give the get. Like usually a person who doesn't want to give a divorce to a woman, and even nowadays, to the point that where some people took the idea of forcing a very seriously, and there's been arrests here in the U.S. on these kind of things where they kidnapped somebody to make him. But in either case, even those who don't go quite that far, it's a regular thing in Basin that they take steps, whatever they are, not beating the guy up or whatever, but publicly denounce this and that, and putting a chayrim and these kind of things that even today, where a person who refuses to give a divorce to the wife,
people are very active today on social media.
Yeah. There's all this. Yeah, I remember they used to. I don't know if maybe now social media is more effective. But I remember back in the day, I remember like standing on the corner in Crown Heights, had a guy, they paid a guy to hold a sign up of what's his name? What's his name? Give your wife a get. He's standing there all day with a sign. So and so, give your wife a get.
Right. Remember signs in shows saying don't give someone
an
aliyah.
And I guess it's the point where we're looking whatever benefit he thinks he's getting at, because sometimes it happens from a point of in other words, he's trying to use the get as a bargaining tool in court for the monetary thing.
Right, not to pay as
right.
much.
Okay, so in that case, so you're making it all of a sudden the money stops being maybe worth his while so much, or in the case where he's still looking to be
to get it one last time.
Yeah. So again, same ideas. You make it a little less appealing. In either case, in this case, we would not, and we're talking about even back then, where when they went after somebody, they went after somebody like in New Jersey,
baseball bats, and
right?
kneecaps.
So it says, but after this husband, you don't go after. Why? Because she has no claim. Right. You even though we're not believing 100%, but you claim he gave you a get already. So how can you come with a claim to him now that he owes you a get?
Right. You got yourself in this trouble. You.
Then we said, however, that all of that was in those days. In these days, that it's become normal that people are more chutzpahdik and are more loose. That for sure we don't trust them 100%. We only trust them to the stringent part, for the stringency. Meaning
that she has to get a get.
The third opinion is that both of those opinions would hold that in these times, right? And she would have to get a get for the first one also.
Everyone gets
Why?
a get,
Because
and no
there's
one
a
gets any money, and no one
yeah,
stays married.
right.
It's like Oprah up in here. Everyone gets a get.
Yeah,
You get a
yeah.
get. You
You get it. Yeah. Why? Because there's a general concept called Isra Chazaka, meaning the Chazaka went bad. It's like in other words, when you have a Chazaka and the Chazaka is based on certain things, but if you can't base it on those things anymore, then there's no chazaka anymore. The chazaka went back. Well, there's actually active isra chazaka also, by the way. I think because, like, for example, if we say like a person has a chazaka that they're not a mamzer, or that they're not chalolim, and these kind of things, right? We had this in the last
right,
thing.
right.
But then if somebody cut, whether it's eight, there's a whole, we won't go into it because there's whole different opinions. If it's enough a rumor, if it's enough one person, if it's enough if it has to be two eidim, if it has to be in front of a beis din, whatever it is. But in that case, it's also the term is used isra chazaka. So yeah, everybody has is presumed, is legally presumed to be XYZ. Okay, but now came along this thing that spoiled that presumption.
What's the Isra Chazaka? It's a Aramaic, I'm assuming.
It's like Ra,
It's like
Isra.
Isra,
It's
meaning like it happened.
it
It's a
it
Chazaka.
no, I
Like it
think it comes
was.
from Ra, from bad, like Isra.
How's it spelled? I'm just
It's
not seeing it.
Aleph Yud Tav Reish Ayin. It's in the Haggadah.
Oh, interesting.
I think it
In
means
in the
like
Rama itself.
there's Ra and there's Isra. It became bad.
In a minute, the Isra. Oh, I see what you're saying. Isra Chazaka. Interesting. It went bad. So, yeah, like you
Yeah,
could translate like an expired, a spoiled Chazaka.
it's
Like
spoiled.
it,
Yeah,
it
like yeah,
literally
it's
went
spoiled.
bad.
It's spoiled. Yeah, the Chazaka is spoiled
Interesting.
now. Yeah.
Right.
Why that? So now, since
It was
people,
left out of the
since
fridge. Okay.
people are mayes, people do have chutzpah.
Yeah.
So the chazaka that a woman will not have chutzpah in front of her husband went bad.
Right.
Okay, and then like we said, okay, then we brought a few other possibilities. There are those that say that's only that, meaning that we don't accept it based on only her word. On her word alone, we're only going to accept it to the stringency. But if she's willing to take an oath or accept a chayrim on herself, which a chayrim is like an excommunication, meaning that if she's lying, she puts herself under an excommunication, basically.
Right.
Then some say that no, then we trust her for everything, and some say no, we don't. Some say also that when there's like something else to rely on, an amtala, there's something there are additional supporting facts or additional supporting reason to believe that she said that she could be telling that she's telling the truth. Then some say that even now she's still trusted. It's only when, again, based on her word alone, we won't accept it. But if there are additional supporting facts, then maybe we could accept her word. And some say no. Some say that in the case, because before we brought another case, what was the whole case? The whole problem with when we said that the generations went down, right? That nowadays they're more chutzpah. So we had the cases of this. It brought the case of the women who would put their eyes on other men, not like literally their eyeballs, but they would another man would catch their attention, and they would say that they were unfaithful. Why? Because then the husband will be forced to give them a get, because he can't be with her anymore now. And so he would be forced to give her a divorce, and then she can go to the other man legally without,
Right.
And so he says that no, that that when we say that when we show this idea that she has what to rely on, meaning that he's saying, she might maybe she probably just put her eyes on another man, right? And that's why she's saying what's it called, but we have supporting facts that it turns out that everybody knows she was going out with this guy, she was hanging out with this guy, whatever it was, with this other guy. People saw them together, whatever it is, right? So in that case, we trust her. So he says, no, this is different. In that case, when we trust her, it's kind of funny because at the same time she's has her eyes on another man, but we say she wouldn't go so far as to Because in that case, she is not, she's trying to get herself out with a get. She's trying to get a get. So therefore, we're not using this extra relying facts or this extra relying things that point to that she's telling the truth to take her out of being a wife. We're using it to give a get. So that means she's not going to enter the new relationship as a man's wife. She's going to first get the get before she can do that. In this case, if we accept her word, and she's lying, we just married her to another man, and she's still the man, the wife of another man. So
Right.
so we're not going to go that far, accepting an amtala, accepting additional contributing factors, additional what do you call it, like proving factors, things that point to that she's saying the truth. So to accept her thing and take her out of being the Ashes Ish, which is a very stringent thing, that we're not going to go so far. The final thing in that Sifkatan was that let me see, who is it? Aruch Shulchan says that still, even so today, if and this is a thing we see commonly, not just it's I guess it's actually almost a little more surprising to see it in these kind of cases than to see it in other kind of cases, because you see it very often in money cases, right? In Cheshin Mishpat, where it says if the Beis Din senses that, like, they can, you know what I'm saying? The Beis Din, that's part of being a Beis Din. It's not just about being a person with your nose in the book that knows. You can be a good Talmud, a big Talmud Chacham, a big scholar. But a Beis Din requires you have to also be able to read what's going on in front of you and understand the situation, read between the lines of the situation, and know when somebody's what he's saying isn't on, whatever it is. So there's many cases by monetary matters where we see this, where like the Beis Din is you know what I'm saying, they're understanding according to what's going on that the guy is lying. Then even though the stamazay, the psak is like this, but the Beis Din knowing this guy is and then it's funny because sometimes it's not like that, because sometimes the story, maybe you told me even this Maisa with the guy who there's a guy and his
couldn't afford
friend.
to get with the eggs.
Well, he has his friend who's very wealthy, and he leaves him money. Can you watch this for me? And the guy who's watching the money dies. And he comes to the kids, and the children say, he never told us nothing about this money. This is he left us an inheritance. And whatever it was, the final deal was that the Beis Din said, like, I mean, listen, we think you're probably right. It's probably true, but there's no proof here that it's. And since there's no proof here, we can't take the money from them, their inheritance, and give it to you because just on your word. It doesn't work that way. There's no record of it. He didn't tell them about it. I think you're telling the truth, and the kids are telling the truth, but the halacha is with them. I forget exactly what it was. Where they asked, I don't think was it the Baal Shem Tov? I don't know what it was. But they asked, like, how could this be that the halacha says this way, and the fact is it's the other guy's money. So right. The answer was something like that in a previous Gilgul, that guy lent that guy money and never got it back, and now in this world, and now that had to become rectified. That's how it became rectified. So we see it doesn't always go, because in this case, that case, the Beis Din knew that they understood based on the Indian. He's telling the truth probably. In either case,
it made me think, Beflau, like how many times people take advantage of the legal system to get away with things that aren't right. Like I was talking about the other night, like in San Francisco and Berkeley have very strict rent control laws, meaning if someone stays somewhere for more than 30 days, you can't make them homeless. And so
Right.
a couple took advantage of that. They went to an Airbnb, they rented it for 30 days. Mamish on the
It's a
30th
big thing
day,
actually in California. In California
they
law, there's
canceled.
laws like that, and
Well,
the big
so it
squatter
depends. It
stuff.
depends on the cities and the counties. Like Palo Alto is the total opposite. There's no safety net for renters. The landlords
Right.
there can do whatever they want, and then it goes the other way. There has to be balance. But what I'm saying is, as a, let's say, a police officer, someone who's there to, or a judge even, you want
Right.
to
The law
enact
is the law.
justice, and you can tell this guy's taking advantage. But
Listen, the law is the law.
right,
Right. I can't make up my own law.
and we try to make the
I
law
can only, yeah, that's a good example because I can only enforce the law that's there.
right.
I think I mean, obviously in Torah it's different. We know the law is the ultimate truth and v'chulu v'chulu. But in this
Right,
case, the city of whatever, it's a stupid law.
right.
Okay, but I can only enforce it. I can't. You know.
So go change it. Go change the law if
Right.
you don't like it. But here, when it
And
comes to halacha, I'm saying is you can have
at the same
times.
time, by the way, there are places where it's the other way around, where the enforcement is bad.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Meaning, if they looked into it and there's no lease and what's it called, they don't bother looking into it if there's anything. But listen, look into it and you'll see clearly that it's
I'm protected here, right?
yeah,
Well, I mean, I had that the other way. I had a landlord who tried to take advantage of the fact they assumed that we didn't know the law, so they tried to evict us. And so I went and took it, excuse me, to one of these lawyers, and this woman who, she's in her office and it's papers stacked to the ceiling, and she's like a tigress. She's like, "We're gonna get them.
yeah,
They're not gonna get away with this." It was very stark. And yeah, it was totally illegal what they were trying to do. They were trying to get us out because they wanted to get more rent. Um,
right.
they just wanted more money. But you know,
Which is fine if as long as you do it legally. I mean,
if you do it legally, that's fine. And
right,
again, even in these places, by the way, if you want to use it for personal use, you're allowed to. That you can evict for. And then they ended up doing that after I left. They did that. They said they were going to remodel it for their daughter. They remodeled it, and then it went right back up on Zillow and
right,
for rent websites for like double what the rent was before. So it was like, right, for your daughter. I don't think she ever even lived there, or maybe she
right.
did, but for 30 days, just long enough that
Whatever.
they
Yeah,
could. But whatever, like there are ways to
fine. Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
But anyway,
It's a
the
funny
point
thing.
being,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely both ways where you
But the
can, it
bottom
can,
line
it,
is there are certain cases here where there's the law, and the judges are given a certain leeway based on what they see is going on. So
but if you can sniff something
it's
out,
more interesting to see it here because when it comes to things that have to do with divorces and making sure it's so I mean then again I'm assuming any rub worth his salt is gonna or based in or whatever they're looking in good and hard and not just we have leeway
that's a lot to
and
put
how
on your,
much
there's
and
not a
right
lot to take on your
right
shoulders.
and obviously even in a case of monetary they'll think hard but in such a case like this I imagine they would right because at the end of the day it's not I can do whatever it's you need to make sure that that you understand that like it's here it says "Shebezdin mevinim lefi ha'inyan shebe'emes nizgarsha." That their understanding according to the Indian, meaning basically they're absolutely certain based on what's going on, even though
Yeah,
they don't have
what's happening?
the get in front of them to prove it. But based on the what's it called, they're positive that you gotta get from him, and he's just making he's just being difficult, and because he wants to torture her, and to as well as to take her freedom to remarry away from her.
Right.
So even today, the Beis Din is able to now again. I don't know how Bisman Hazeh he's talking about. In terms of what actually happens in our actual day and time, as it says in the description of this down there. It says that do not use this podcast for remotely practical purposes. Ask your local Rav, or if you want to know more about exactly how they do it. So this would be a good question to find out how does how would to what
How does this play
degree
out?
in our day does based on actually is this something that's happened that people know of that it'd be an interesting thing to find out.
Yeah.
Furthermore, in our times, if the Rav that right the Rav Mesader, meaning the Rav who arranged, meaning the Rav who was, or in this case, usually it's not just the Rav, usually the Gittin is a good
A Rav is the head of a business.
yeah. So in other words, so if the Rav is who actually oversaw this get, who was on top of this get, if he says that he did this get, we rely on that to free her, even though for whatever reason the actual get is she can't produce or whatever it is right now. So which I guess a good case of this would be, let's say a woman lost her get. So what happens then? Does she need to get a new get? What if there's no get? What do you do?
I don't know.
You might it's like a ksuba, maybe, no? You know, like by ksuba, you have to get a new ksuba if you lost the ksuba.
I
So it's
think that's
possible
right.
by a get. There's something to look into. It's possible by a get. You have
Well,
to
that's
get
right. Nowadays, usually what we do, I think maybe to protect from that happening, is she doesn't actually hold the get.
right.
It's given to her, but then the Bezdin takes it immediately, and she gets like
Right.
a receipt of
It's held in the records. Yeah.
it's a
Fine.
receipt of receipt or whatever. Like you have a thing that
Yeah.
says that you have
Yeah.
that you got the get,
Right.
right?
And the
But for
get
that exact
itself is
reason,
held. Okay. Now she lost her receipt and there's a fire in the Besdin offices.
right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you got a problem, right? And this husband, who in the first place
But that's why we also
in
have
the first
Adim, and
place
you're saying there's no
they had to
Adim
pull
around.
teeth, whether literally or figuratively, to get him to give the get, and he has no teeth left to pull, and I'm not doing it. But
I
and
have
anyways,
no teeth.
and he and okay, now what are you gonna? And he says, no, I never gave her a get, whatever. Okay, so if the Rav Misada says, listen, our record place got burned down, and she doesn't have a receipt, but I did the get. We did the get. So
Okay, so that's eight.
again,
Like
it would be interesting. It would be interesting to find if any case like this or similar case like this, anybody knows of in modern times or
from
whatever.
modern day, yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume like even wouldn't even need necessarily the Bezdin or whatever. Just the regular Adim. There's Adim for getting
Yeah.
even just that.
Um.
No.
No. Well, the Adim Gittin, they are signed Adim. They're not as they can are
What I'm saying is they also watch the giving. You have to have to
they
be Adim
do
watching. I guess the
they
Bezdin
do
is maybe, but whatever. I'm just
they
saying.
do.
I'm saying I don't think it. I think what I'm saying is I think
No,
any
but
sort
maybe
of
that's
Adim are
different.
good.
Maybe that's different. If you have Adim, you have Adim. The problem with the Rav Mesader is he's not Adim. He's one guy.
So they were saying not one like multiple guys at the Bezdin, just the one guy. So just an Aid
He's
Echad,
just the Rav Mesader, yeah.
right? Just
He's
the Rav
not
Masada.
because if you have Adim, look, I'll give you an example. What if you have two other Adim? Even though I think the Adim have to specifically be watching and whatever. But what if they was signed by Adim and there's two other Adim that watch it being given over? So who cares? They're Adim that the get was given.
Right.
But in this case, he's only one guy, so it's not even Adim.
The Aid Echad.
Anyways, yeah. So, so that is all. So now we covered the cases of she said Gerashtani, right? You divorced me before her husband, and the case of she accepts kedushin, right? Which kedushin is it's part of a marriage. It's part of a marriage. There's different parts of a marriage.
Betrothal, as we like to
Right. So
say,
the problem is that any one part of that can, even though you have to finish the other
needs a get.
parts, it requires a get because they each one in its own right can make you married. We do all of them just to be sure, but we do them all just to make sure you're good and married. But but kedushin
Oh, no,
is when he acquires her with something of monetary value. In our day and age, that's the under the chuppah they put the ring on the finger, and like I think Rabbi Yodah mentioned on the other the other day is that's why she puts out her. We don't put it on the ring finger. She puts out her index finger that shows that she's accepting this thing because it's that specifically she puts out a finger that's unusual to put the ring on.
It's
And
also a
only
very
then
more
after she
active
puts it
finger.
on
It's all consensual. It's all
right.
yeah.
So it
She's
shows
an active
that there's an act, but
participant.
she's accepting this kedushin.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's all that case. Like we saw, there's depending on the opinion, Sometimes some hold that those two cases are exactly the same. Some hold there's differences between those two cases of either she said that he divorced me or she accepted kedushin. But now, aval im kitcha acher sheloi b'fnei baila. However, the person betroths her not in front of her husband. The other case was it was in front of her husband, right? That in that case we say a person won't have chutzpah to ein kedushin teivsim ba. These kedushin are no good. I guess we'll see, but I'm guessing it's not even good enough to require. It's not. It's probably not even good enough to require a get at all. It's not good. It's just not good.
Not sim at all. Like it's not.
Right.
It's not good. It doesn't.
Until she brings proof that she was divorced from the first one, and she has to bring that proof and then receive the kedushin. Which meaning he would have to be Mekadesh her again. This guy, if he wants to marry her, right? And he's Mekadesh her. I think she would have to bring the proof. And not only that, but when she brings the proof of the get, he then has to be Mekadesh her again, I believe. Shekol shalei b'fun of Me'iza, because as long as he's not in front of her, she'll have the chutzpah to say it. It's specifically when he is in front of her that he's gonna have that she's gonna be not have the chutzpah to do this. So shalei b'fnei baila, says the Ehven Bura. V'yesh lehistapik mahadin b'kosva b'igeres lebaila geresh tani. What would be the rule if she wrote in a letter to her husband, "You divorced me"? She knows for a fact that this letter is going to reach her husband. She
WhatsApped him and she sees two checks.
Two checks.
He got the message.
Ding. And then for about 2 hours she sees writing.
It's funny. It right. It reminded me of how many shadchanim would tell, and probably still do tell, prospective guys and girls, do not text each other. There are things you would say over text that you wouldn't say even over the phone, let alone in person.
Yeah.
The dating has to all take place in person.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to this as well. It's like that human element, of just the way we behave in front
right.
of
It's
people.
also it's also it goes after dating also. Like never WhatsApp your wife. What did I do wrong? That's an in-person conversation.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it's better. Like if you say it in person and it's only gonna get you both all heated up and you're gonna end up yelling at each other. Something better. Okay, let's go into separate rooms and we'll text each other. What is it that's bothering you so much? Why am I?
So in this case, Basin should decide on a case-by-case scenario how to
exactly. You guys should text. You guys should definitely not text. You two should definitely text. You can't be in a room with each other. You're gonna kill each other.
You two shouldn't have phones.
Like, what's the old? There's some old. Not Jewish. It was a different. Rhymes with schmerch. But they used to, in this village, anytime someone came and wanted a divorce, they would put them. There was a little private apartment. They would put them in there for a week, and they weren't allowed to leave. There was nothing in there. It was bare bones, bed, couch, whatever. They would bring them food, and for a whole week, there was nothing for them to do except for them to be alone together. So talk about Sheva brachas, just a week, just the two of them.
What do you mean? That's how they got in these problems in the first place.
In the first place, so that if after that week they still wanted a divorce, they would grant it. But they had they had like an almost 0% divorce rate because of that.
Yeah.
Because it's just that thing, like, let everything, all the other distractions, the things that are influencing us, convincing us, the mother-in-law, the friend,
that's also one of the benefits of Shabbos. It's Shabbos. It's right once a week, 25 hours. There's no phone. There's no computers. There's no business. There's no all these things there. All the distractions go away.
Yeah.
So anyways, so now the question is, In this case, where she wrote a letter, do we also say that that she wouldn't have the chutzpah in such a case, and therefore she's trusted? Or maybe because it's not in front of him, she would have the chutzpah, and she's not trusted. Meaning, so a letter, when she writes a letter that she knows is going to get them, is this considered in front of him or not?
Right.
And he didn't say yes or no. He said yes. Stop it. It's a question.
There's what to doubt it. There's what to doubt it. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a doubt. Yeah, it's not clear what would be the case in such a thing.
I would think not, but yeah, I guess.
What if she says to another person, my husband divorced me in front of you, and I lost my get? Right, because remember the whole thing of Isha Eina Me'iza, is interesting because what we said is that it's the same thing as somebody what is it? The person Eina Mei is lifnei bal chayve, right? A person does not is not have the chutzpah before somebody who lend him money, because this person is what was the word we use? He was beholden to him to some degree, and therefore he doesn't have chutzpah, and that's why a husband, right? Like we had the whole case of how about a woman who she wasn't actually married yet, and it was her father that received the kedushin, but he never took care of her yet. He never paid for any of her things yet.
Is she considered
beholden or not? So which is actually interesting. Why in this case he says that there's it's not clear what would be the case in front of if she says to somebody else, because this person, she's not beholden to him. So why would there be the same degree of chutzpah? So anyways, he says it's not clear in a menace kivan shezed davar hayadu alai ve'enim meniza panel the shaker b'fanav. Oh, I guess that's his question he asks. This is why it's unclear. So is she trusted? Why? Because she's saying something that like he knows if he was there or not. If she's lying, this guy knows it. So there's a chutzpah there. This isn't like I'm telling somebody, oh, your father your what's it called? You know what I'm saying? Your father before he passed gave, which the guy doesn't really know, yeah or no. This is it's saying my husband gave he divorced me in front of you, and I lost my get, but you saw him give me the get. What? So he doesn't know if she's lying? He knows if she's lying. So do we say that she wouldn't have the chutzpah to lie straight to somebody's face? Or maybe is it only in front of the husband specifically? To have a davar hanegei aloi, that's something that's in other words, he's more involved in it. It's more it has to do with him. So therefore he's not gonna it's a bigger chutzpah. On the other hand, another man, it's not gonna be the same degree of chutzpah. I'm surprised you didn't bring the thing from before. There's a difference between there's a difference that of being beholden to him or not.
Right. Okay.
However,
we're starting Ma'ariv now.
Oh, I guess we'll just finish this sifkat then.
Yeah.
ואתו היסה מן המסדרים, בזה יש להם הדאב דלדס הפסקין דבינה בפונוב דווקא, וגם עושה שבזמן הזה יש חצופס, ואין המונס בכל מוקם, כאן אין לך חוץ בגדל מזול להויז בפני אנושים אחרים, שמכירים בשיקרה. So some say that's talking about Stama person, but if she comes in front of a Beis Din and says, I got divorced in front of you, and you guys were the Mesadim, you guys did the get for me, In this, we would say that she's believed because this is a huge chutzpah that even when we say that people have more chutzpah, she wouldn't not to this point. And so we're forced to say that she's saying the truth and she's trusted. So some say this is a dafka when she says that in front of this basin, in front of you guys. But if she says in other words, it's not that she's not going to, because the basic thing is she's not going to lie in front of a bezdin, right? But some say no, that's not even good enough. If it's in front of a bezdin, they can tell if people are lying. That's what they do for a living, Right. But it's only if it's in front of that bezdin. That's such a chutzpah she wouldn't do, but in front of another bezdin, we still wouldn't trust her. After having even though the truth is going to come out. That some people say no, she's saying this in front of a bezdin, and it's going to come out. The truth is going to come out. So if the truth is going to come out, why they'll go and they'll contact the other bezdin. So in such a case, anyway, we're up to Chav Gimel. Siman Katan Chav Gimel, and Amir Hashem tomorrow morning, Amir Hashem. Regular time?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. All righty.
Sei
Sei gebencht.